The sprawling luxury spacecraft the Astral Horizon sailed through the quiet expanse of space, its glowing hull reflecting the distant stars. It was a ship for the elite, transporting dignitaries, scientists, and wealthy travelers across the galaxy. But beneath the ship's opulent surface, something sinister had taken root. Detective Mira Solace stood in the dimly lit hallway, her sharp eyes scanning the crime scene. The victim lay on the floor of his private quarters, a half-empty glass beside him, its contents now congealed. The dead man was Commander Velar, a high-ranking officer who oversaw the ship's navigation systems. His sudden death had sent shockwaves through the crew, but for Mira, it was just the beginning of a troubling puzzle. "Poison," she murmured, crouching to inspect the body. The commander's pale skin showed no signs of struggle, but his lifeless eyes were wide with fear. Mira, methodical as ever, took note of the faint chemical scent in the air, a clue she'd file away for later. Her partner, Detective Kai Orion, entered the room with a confident stride. Where Mira was cold and calculated, Kai was impulsive and relied on instinct. He ran a hand through his unruly hair, glancing at the commander before focusing on Mira. "What do we have?" he asked. "Velar's dead. Looks like poisoning," she said without looking up. "But the question is, why? And by whom?" Kai surveyed the room, noticing the scattered data pads on the commander's desk. Guy like Velar didn't have many enemies, at least not on the ship. "We should start with the crew. Someone close to him." Mira nodded, her mind already calculating the next steps. Captain Atreus said Velar wasn't the type to make mistakes. If someone got close enough to poison him, they had access to his private quarters. That narrows it down. As they exited the room, the corridors of the Astral Horizon buzzed with activity. Holographic displays projected serene landscapes, trying to maintain the illusion of luxury for the passengers. But the tension in the air was palpable. Word had spread fast, there was a killer on board. The detectives made their way to the ship's control center, where Captain Atreus awaited them. A tall, imposing figure with silver hair and a military bearing, Atreus wasted no time. "I need this solved quickly," he said, his voice cold. "We can't afford panic on this ship." "We're on it," Kai assured him, but Mira's attention was elsewhere. She had spotted Velar's personal assistant, a young woman named Eris Hale, pacing nervously in the corner. Mira approached her, reading the anxiety in her eyes. "Did you notice anything unusual about Commander Velar recently?" Mira asked, her tone calm but probing. Eris hesitated, glancing around before speaking in a whisper. "He was on edge. Mentioned something about a message he received. He wouldn't tell me what it was, but I could see it rattled him." Mira exchanged a glance with Kai. A message. This was the first real lead they had. "Get us access to his personal logs," Mira said to Atreus. "If there's a message, it might tell us who wanted him dead." As the captain nodded, the ship's emergency alarms blared, red lights flashing. Mira's heart raced. "Another murder," Kai muttered, eyes wide. The game had only just begun. The med bay was eerily silent, save for the steady hum of the ship's engines in the background. Dr. Ezra Vaughn's body lay on the cold metal floor, surrounded by scattered medical tools. To the untrained eye, it looked like an accident, a slip, maybe, in the midst of a routine procedure. But Mira Solace knew better. "He was staged," Mira said, standing over the lifeless figure. Her sharp gaze traveled across the room, taking in the odd positioning of the body, the misplaced syringe on the counter. Someone wanted this to look like an accident. Kai Orion, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed, frowned. "Second victim in less than 24 hours. Same method?" Mira shook her head. "No. This wasn't poison." She gestured to a puncture mark on Vaughn's neck. "He was injected with something lethal, probably a sedative that stopped his heart." "Precise." Efficient. Kai knelt beside the body, his brow furrowed in thought. 2 murders, 2 high-ranking officers. Velar and now Vaughn. What's the connection? What did they know? Mira was already a step ahead, pulling out her datapad to cross-reference the 2 victims. Velar was in charge of navigation. Vaughn, medical operations. Both had access to restricted areas of the ship. Her fingers flew across the screen. And both were part of a classified research project, something involving genetic modification. Kai's eyes widened. That explains a lot. Velar found out something he wasn't supposed to, and Vaughn probably had the medical expertise to confirm it. As Mira continued searching through the ship's logs, her brow furrowed. I'm seeing encrypted files linked to this project. Someone's been trying to erase them from the system. Who else had access? Kai asked, his voice tense. Several key personnel, including the ship's AI technician, Lieutenant Zararan, Mira replied. But I'm also seeing blackmail payments, credits transferred to both Velar and Vaughn's accounts. Someone was pressuring them to keep quiet. Before Mira could investigate further, the med bay doors slid open, revealing Captain Atreus, his face lined with worry. I just heard. Another murder? Mira nodded curtly. Dr. Vaughn. Same pattern as Velar. We're looking at a conspiracy on board, Captain. Both victims were involved in a classified genetic modification project, and it looks like someone didn't want them talking. Atreus's jaw tightened. I'll increase security. But you need to find out who's behind this, and fast. The passengers are starting to notice something's wrong. As Atreus left, Kai turned to Mira. We need to speak with Lieutenant Zararan. If she's tampered with the ship's AI, she could be the one covering all this up. Mira nodded, but her instincts were buzzing with unease. Something about this felt bigger than just the ship's AI technician. There were too many moving parts, too many secrets. Before they could leave the med bay, a loud hiss filled the air. The ship's AI crackled to life, its normally calm voice now laced with urgency. Warning. Unauthorized access detected in the AI core. Security breach imminent. Mira and Kai exchanged a look. They were getting close to the truth, but someone was determined to stop them. We need to move, now, Mira said, her voice sharp. The clock was ticking, and the killer was still out there, ready to strike again. Mira and Kai sprinted through the dimly lit corridors of the Astral Horizon, their footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. The ship's AI warning still rang in their ears. Someone had breached the AI core, and they knew time was running out. Whoever it is, they're moving fast, Kai said, his voice tight. They've killed 2 officers already, and now they're targeting the AI. We need to shut this down before they erase everything. Mira's mind raced as they approached the AI control room. It's more than erasing data. They're trying to control the ship, disable surveillance, hide their tracks. We've been playing catch-up. When they reached the door to the AI core, it was sealed. Mira's fingers flew over the access panel, bypassing the lockdown protocol with practiced ease. As the door slid open, the room beyond was bathed in an unnatural glow, banks of monitors flickering, data streams scrolling faster than they could process. At the center of it all stood Lieutenant Zararan, the ship's AI technician, her hands deep inside the main terminal circuits. Zara, Mira called out, her voice sharp. Step away from the console. Zara didn't flinch. Her fingers continued their work, manipulating the AI's control systems with expert precision. I don't have time for this, detective, she said, her voice calm but strained. If you knew what was at stake, you'd understand. Kai moved closer, his hand hovering near his holster. We know about the genetic experiments. Velar and Vaughn were both involved. They were murdered because they found out. Is that what this is about? Zara let out a bitter laugh, her hands finally pausing as she turned to face them. You think this is just about them? You're so far off the mark. This ship is a ticking time bomb, and I'm the only one trying to stop it. Mira narrowed her eyes, her gut telling her there was more to the story. What do you mean? Zara stepped away from the console, her expression hard. Those experiments Velar and Vaughn stumbled onto, they weren't just about genetic modification. They were developing a virus, something designed to target specific genetic markers. It was supposed to be a weapon, a way to control populations. But the research went too far. The virus is on board, and if it gets out. Mira felt a cold chill race down her spine. You've been covering this up. I've been trying to destroy it, Zara shot back. Velar and Vaughn were cowards. They were blackmailed into silence, but they were too scared to do anything about it. I'm not. I've been working to neutralize the virus, but now you've forced my hand. Kai took a step forward, his voice hard. You killed them, didn't you? To keep them quiet. But you didn't stop there. Zara's eyes darkened. I did what I had to do. If the virus gets out, it'll kill everyone on this ship. Including you. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Zara's eyes widened. It's too late. The containment breach, it's happening. Mira's heart raced as she realized the truth. The virus was about to be released, and they had only minutes to stop it. The ship's alarms blared, and red emergency lights flashed, casting eerie shadows across the AI control room. Mira and Kai stood frozen for a heartbeat, absorbing the weight of Zara's revelation. The virus, Mira muttered, her mind racing. Where is it being stored? Zara's hands shook as she pointed toward the lower levels of the ship. In the biocontainment lab, Sector 7. I tried to isolate it, but the breach was triggered when you interrupted me. If we don't get down there now, it's over. Kai grabbed his comms. Captain Atreus, we've got a containment breach. The virus is on the loose. The captain's voice crackled through the speaker, taut with urgency. Understood. Locking down the sector. But you need to stop that virus before it spreads. Without wasting another second, Mira turned to Zara. You're coming with us. You know the systems better than anyone. Help us neutralize the virus, and we'll make sure you get a fair trial. Zara hesitated but saw the cold determination in Mira's eyes. She nodded slowly. Fine. But if we don't move fast, a trial will be the least of my worries. Together, they raced down the narrow corridors, the ship groaning under the strain of its emergency lockdown procedures. The air felt heavy with tension, every passing second bringing them closer to disaster. When they arrived at the biocontainment lab, the doors were already sealed. Inside, a bright red warning flashed across the console: containment failure, imminent release in 5 minutes. Zara pushed past them, immediately tapping into the console. I can slow it down, but I'll need you two to manually disable the dispersal system. Mira and Kai split up, moving to opposite ends of the lab. The large containment chambers lined the walls, each filled with vials of a glowing, pale blue liquid, the virus, waiting to be unleashed. Kai knelt down by the dispersal system, prying open a panel to reveal a mess of wires. You good at this? He called out, pulling tools from his belt. Good enough to not blow us up, Mira replied from the opposite side, working quickly. Her hands moved deftly, disconnecting the fail-safes that would release the virus into the ship's air supply. Minutes ticked by as they worked in tense silence, the only sound the steady hum of the ship's systems and the frantic tapping of Zara's fingers on the console. Finally, Mira disconnected the last wire, her breath catching in relief. I've got mine. Kai. Same here, Kai said, stepping back from the dispersal unit. Shut it down, Zara. Zara's fingers flew across the console, and the red warning lights flickered, then faded. The lab fell silent, save for the gentle hum of systems returning to normal. Mira exhaled slowly. We did it. But before they could celebrate, Zara turned from the console, her expression grim. You don't get it, do you? The virus, this is just one project. There are others, across the galaxy. More ships, more experiments. This isn't over. Mira's gaze hardened. Then we'll keep fighting. One ship at a time. As they walked Zara into custody, the vast expanse of space stretched out beyond the ship's windows, silent and infinite. Their battle was far from over, but for now, the Astral Horizon was safe. For now.